What's going on, everyone? Talon back here, and today we are going to be doing a bit of a discussion video for something that a lot of people have been asking about, and it just for some reason has disappeared in the game. And we're never going to know an absolute reason why unless one of us is able to actually talk to the developers. I live in Tokyo. I can't even talk to them. I don't even know where their office is. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking, of course, about the exchange mechanic introduced in the 300 million download celebration. So, to help me along with this, I have, of course, invited a very good friend and a personal whale friend of mine, Nolar. Go ahead and say hello, man.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me on. And yeah, try to dive into the minds of Akatsuki, even though they don't even know what's going on in their
It's
heads.
impossible. They don't even know what's going on. I mean, have you seen their showcase videos?
I've seen their suggestions of what you should do in their in the downloading screen. Yeah, that's a big yikes right there.
Yes, it is. So anyway, what I want to do in this video, guys, is I want to just quickly give a very brief history about what the exchange mechanic is, especially for those players who are maybe newer. Maybe they only came in during the 5th year anniversary or after the 300 million download celebration, or just completely forgot about what it is. And then we're just gonna kind of talk and maybe give our suggestions about maybe why we think this has disappeared for some random reason. Okay. So if you guys don't remember what the exchange mechanic was, it was introduced with the 2 free-to-play units, the Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and Trunks cards, all right? So it was a Tech, Super Saiyan, Goku, and Gohan card. And what it was, though, was in the name, at least in both in English and Japanese, it was Goku Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan Goku, and it had a slash. It didn't do an and symbol like something like, say, LR Beerus and Whis. It had a slash through it. So, because when you put the card onto the field, it was only Goku, right? Only his sprite showed up. And so, whenever you wanted to, you could activate the exchange mechanic and it would switch to Gohan. But what this allowed you to do is not only did Gohan have a different passive than Goku, like, say, for example, a transformation mechanic or something like that, but it allowed you to run multiple cards of the same type of character. So for example, if I wanted to run the Super Saiyan LR Prime Goku battle card for some reason, and I wanted to run that exchange Goku card at the same time, guess what? It worked. You could do that because you had that slash through the name. And also for the LR Gohan at the time when he came out, because he required to have a Super Saiyan Goku with him after you transformed, assuming you could get the transformation off, then you were able to use that exchange Goku as well, because technically he was only a Super Saiyan Goku. If you exchanged him into Gohan, then yeah, that didn't work. But it was a cool mechanic and something that they really could have taken further and further and further, and really just allows for some cool team diversities and making different, team compositions and everything. Vegeta and Trunks were kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. Vegeta, when you had the Vegeta out, he was very similar to the Goku. He stacked attack and defense, although Goku only stacked defense. He was a generic hard hitter. And then you exchange into Trunks, and then Trunks was actually really strong, but then he lost his attack and defense every single turn. It was only like 5% or something like that, if I remember correctly. Generally, you wouldn't really want to transform Trunks until you got near the end of the event that you were particularly playing. But nonetheless, he was still a good card and everything, and he gave himself Ki, which was really cool. Then finally, for the third card that uses this mechanic, it was the LR Android 1718, who exchanged into 16. If you guys have seen any showcases on that, you guys know Android 16, Android 17 and 18 are perfectly good. They're really good cards, but 16 is an absolute beast. 200% attack and defense. He gets +6 Ki, and he has a high chance to do a critical. And if you're facing off against a certain category, then he gets an automatic additional super attack. He's pretty ridiculous. And then he went back into 17 and 18 after, I think, 4 turns or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
3 turns.
3 turns, that's what it was, yeah. So, that allowed you to run something where you had, say 17 and 18 the LR. I could bring the Tech Fighters 16, who's still an amazing blocker, and then I could exchange into 16, and then those two 16s are linking, and they're doing really well and everything. They're tanking everything and hitting hard, or at least the LR is. But regardless, it just paved the way for some really cool ideas that you could potentially see in the future. And then we haven't seen it since. It's now March 5th, 2020, Japan time. And we got this exchange mechanic back in August. What happens? Where is it? Why is it gone? And my first thought was like, okay, was there some secret cult or something that was like secretly hating on this and just attacking the Twitter feeds and the Reddit feeds and everything like that? I went back and looked through Reddit feeds and Twitter feeds from both Global and JP, and nobody really complained about it. I mean, yeah, you got the occasional person that didn't like it, but generally we just look at those guys as trolls. But overall, people seem to have liked the mechanic and everything. But we haven't seen it since, and I don't know why, because it was a really cool idea that they could evolve upon it and just make it better and better as time goes on. So, I mean, like a very easy example would have been something like, having a go tanks or something like that, maybe a Super Saiyan go tanks, and you'd exchange into Piccolo for a turn, who was a very defensive unit, and then Super Saiyan 3 go tanks could come out and then be all offensive or something like that. However you want to do it, right? There's just so many possibilities that could have happened. So, what happened to it is the big question. So, Nolar, I want to ask you, man, what do you think happened? Why have we not seen this mechanic come back yet, even though it was, for the majority of us, accepted and well-liked? Why?
All right, that's a very good question, and I've been kind of thinking about myself. My conspiracy theory is Team B proposed this, and Team A did not like that, so they killed the idea.
I love it. All right, it's all Team A's fault. Let's go, guys. Get your pitchforks.
Yeah, as much as I want to think that's true, maybe it is true. Who knows? But let me expand upon the context of the exchange mechanic. So it was 300 million downloads that they introduced it in both the free-to-play ones, the farmable cards, and then the LR card. Wasn't a Dokkan Fest, it's just a regular LR card.
Yep.
The problem, I think, we haven't seen it back yet, is that they don't want to put it on a Dokkan Fest card at all. Because it would seem kind of weird to have like a hype featured unit, then exchange into something else, and then come back or whatever, however they want to play the exchange mechanic. It just would seem weird to stick that on a Dokkan Fest exclusive card. So every Dokkan Fest banner, we haven't seen one. So that begs the question, why haven't we seen it in like an LR? Because they did it with the 16, 17, 18, or any farmable cards. My thought was the next step, they would have put it in the like companion cards that come with the Dokkan Fest exclusive cards. So like when Cooler came out and it was a 1,000 card, and then it UR'd into a Dokkan Awakened into a 1,000 or Cooler Squadron Army card with 1,000 in it. I thought that they could exchange, like that could have been one of those cards that exchanged from the army into 1,000, and then that would be the card itself, and that would be kind of cool. So like I thought they were going to introduce this mechanic with the companion cards that come with the Dokkan Fest exclusive, but we haven't seen it. And I think the problem is they decided to scrap the idea, at least so far in my head, for stuff that they didn't have to put so much effort into doing, like skill orbs. So like the reason why I say that is that every anniversary has introduced a new mechanic, right? So 3rd year anniversary was the fusions, so like the transformations. The 4th year anniversary was active skills. The fact that they gave us an exchange mechanic at 300 million downloads was a little off, because it was a brand new mechanic and it wasn't during an anniversary. So I thought, okay, cool. They're really going to accelerate the progression of the game, right? That was my thinking of like, okay, this is really good concept. But I think they decided like to scrap it because the stuff that makes them the money is the Dokkan Fest exclusives, and they didn't want to put the extra effort into making the exchange mechanic to farmable cards or side character cards, when what really sells is these the Dokkan Fest cards, so, and the LRs. But again, it's weird because the LR 16, 17, 18, that's an exchange mechanic, and people who played with the card really enjoy it. I don't know anyone who like hates on that card, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that they decided to scrap it for active skill orbs. I mean, the skill orbs, the equipment orbs, because that's less work, and it's essentially something they could just throw at us to like keep us like stringing along without putting too much work into the game. That's kind of my thought process. I mean, again, we're just speculating here. Nobody knows exactly why, but I mean, I'd like to see it back because it really opens the doors on stuff you can do. Like you said, the Go tanks, that's pretty cool. You could do a Pokemon card, like a legit Pokemon card that then exchanges into Gogeta. So
Yeah,
you can
like
run like
that
a
would
full
that'd be pretty
Gogeta
hype
team.
right there. Yeah, that'd be super hype right there.
Yeah, and then that definitely helps out like the other World Warriors category. Like
Desperately
you know what
needs
I
it.
mean? Right, or like, I mean, okay, here's another potential possibility is maybe it's for Sane Day. Maybe they're going to give us an exchange mechanic of like an LR Bardock family card into like a straight up Bardock. Like, I mean, that would be cool. I don't think that's going to happen, but like, that's what I mean by the possibilities are endless and it
Yeah,
would
they are.
generate hype. But again, I don't think they prioritize Dokkan Fest exclusive cards with an exchange mechanic because I don't think they think that's conducive to like the exclusivity of Dokkan Fest.
Right. Well, I
So
do, I do actually agree. There probably is some part of it that is very like, hey, for example, when you throw on, say, for the 5th year anniversary, right? You throw the Vegito and the Gogeta on the front of those banners, right? Those are the selling points. Those are the big advertisement right there for these new units, right? If you threw on, say, I don't know, Whis on there, because Whis is the starting card, but then it exchanges into Gogeta for some reason, right? While a lot of people would want a standalone Whis, and funny enough, we did get one right afterwards with the new Beerus, that banner would not do as well as simply just saying, here's Gogeta on the front of it, right?
right.
So I do, the more you look at it that way, yes, I can easily see why maybe they don't give it to certain Dokkan Fest exclusive cards. Even though it would open up some cool possibilities, or maybe, for example, like with Gogeta, right? You start off as base Gogeta. The following turn he returns, you exchange into Whis for a turn, and then the next following turn he comes back around, he'll transform, he'll go back to Gogeta, and he's in blue, right? They could have done something like that.
Yeah.
And because in the long run, it would have been the exact same card as it is now, right? Starts off as base, and then by the 4th turn, he's allowed to transform. But if he's on the 1st rotation, he's not transforming until the 5th turn. It would have been the exact same thing if they had just automatically exchanged him to Whis and then exchanged him back into Gogeta Blue, right?
Right.
So, but again, like you mentioned beforehand, that's more work for them to do. That's extra coding that they have to do to say, hey, you've got to transform into this or exchange into this, sprite that's Whis. Maybe Whis has a new super attack or something like that. And then he's got to go back to blue, and then you see the beautiful transformation that is Gogeta Blue that we have in the game already. So from that perspective, yes, you could just be like, okay, that's a lot of work for them to do right there. We don't know what the workload is. I've always theorized that there has to be multiple teams probably at this development studio, and it makes sense because I think most game developers have different teams, right? You have one team that works on art, you have one team that works on this, and so they most likely have different teams that work on, say, the 5th year anniversary stuff, and while the 5th year anniversary stuff was going on, another team was finishing up Beerus' stuff, and then maybe there's a third team that's now working on the Sunday stuff, right? By the way, that's where my whole Team A theory has always come from, guys, for anyone who's new, saying that, oh, well, Team A just makes all the bad stuff and Team B makes the good stuff. So, inside joke, probably a small bit of truth to it, but hey, you never know. Anyway, getting back on topic, though. When it comes to the exchange mechanic, though, like you said, I was still surprised, though, like, okay, fine, you're not going to give to the Dokkan Fest stuff, right? Give the Dokkan Fest the transformations, the beautiful animations and everything, and the big seller poster boy stuff. But what about the side unit stuff? Right? I mean, like the Trunks and Mai, for example. You could have a Trunks be Super Saiyan, the next turn exchange into Mai, and then the following turn exchange into Trunks, or Trunks comes back and it's a Trunks and Mai card or something like that, right? Or, it could have been something that, regardless, it could have been any of those type of things, however you want to look at it. There's endless possibilities when it comes to an exchange mechanic. It's just that I never saw anything from the community that would make it look bad. So if it is strictly on the developer side of things, then either A, they looked at it from strictly a marketing standpoint and realized it wasn't a good idea, or they just, for some reason, scrapped it, or some new boss came in and scrapped the idea for some reason, right? We don't know. It's kind of sad that a cool idea like that that was well received has all but vanished, basically.
Yeah, I think they might have looked at the sales figures for the LR Androids banner, and that might have been an indication that like, yeah, maybe people weren't as receptive to this as just a straight up LR that um, has a rage mechanic like LR Rose or something that forms. Maybe again, I'm just speculating here. I have no idea. Like if that was the case, I can understand their position of like, okay, we put this extra work in, but it didn't really pay off financially for us, so let's scrap this whole concept of exchange mechanic. So because why put up more work when it's not going to give us more money? Like, I mean, this is a game that's a business. Like that makes sense. Unfortunate, but it makes sense. So
To that, I will simply say though, because if it is the higher ups just looking at the sales, called the fact that you guys put in the Gohan and Trunk or the Gohan and Cell first off. So you generally the second banners always do worse than the first banners. I'm just gonna put that out there, and they still effed up the Cell and Gohan.
yeah, I know. Yeah, they had a
So,
great
geez,
opportunity there, but
guarantee you, if you had made that Gohan Super Saiyan exchange into 16, and the following turn he gets destroyed, and you go to Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, that would have been awesome.
yeah, like the possibilities were really running away in my head when you looked at specifically the Vegeta and Char, because there are two different play styles. So you've got Vegeta, who was a stacking unit. You just kept stacking, blah 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 blah, and then again, the Trunks, who was a good attacker, but then he was losing power over time, which is consistent with the theme of the Super Trunks transformation. So that gave you the opportunity to like be versatile and like, oh, I'm gonna choose to exchange into Trunks at this point of the battle so that I could, see his power and win. Like I said, there's so many ways to play it, and it got even crazier when you're like, okay, the 16, 17, 18, they when you exchange into 16, it only lasted for a couple turns, so you had to be judicious in picking to exchange for him, because then they would go back to being the 17 and 18, which were still a good unit, but it was a very different unit than 16 was.
It's a very different card, right? They focus more on lowering the attack and defense. They had a decent attack and defense themselves, but then you wanted to exchange into the 16, and 16 would just hit you with a ton of bricks, basically. Yeah, he's just a monster. So
yeah, so I mean, I think the most disappointing part about it is everybody was so they kind of put this precedent of like, hey, we have these new ways to make units, and like, for the last like 7 months or since August, however long it's been, everyone's always asking us like, hey, what do you think about this exchange idea mechanic? And like they propose some kind of card, and you can't say anything but, dude, that's pretty cool, like I would love to see that. And guess what, we haven't seen anything since. I haven't
seen anything from it, which is really sad, unfortunately. So like,
yeah,
it almost makes me wonder, like, if Gohan and Cell had flopped, right? Like, I know it's the dual Dokkan Fest, it's a combined celebration, it was never going to happen. But if for some reason that had flopped for them, and everyone had pulled for 16, or like everyone was, replying back saying like, hey, the exchange mechanic is awesome, Gohan and Cell, though, are garbage, no way was I going to summon for them, would we be in a different situation right now? I know it's a hype dream essentially, but still.
Yeah, it is, but entertaining the thought of it would be kind of cool just to see how it would have turned out. But unfortunately, yeah, I don't anticipate the exchange mechanic coming back anytime soon. But honestly, let's wait, because maybe they were saving something for Saiyan Day with all this farmable cars, just like the Force. Like maybe they have something like that. Who knows?
Maybe. I'm definitely hoping for it. I am. So, well, you know, we've been going for almost 20 minutes talking about this stuff. So, we want to know your thoughts down below in the comments, guys. Do you like the exchange mechanic, or did you enjoy it when it first came out? Do you still use those cards to this day? And what are some ideas from some exchange cards if you had the chance to make some? And finally, do you think Akatsuki's going to bring it back? So, any final words, man, before we head out?
No, I mean, I'll just like you. I wish we had more because there's just so many possibilities. The fact that it kind of gets around the name limitation, something we didn't mention, like same name limitation, so you can run lots of different cards together. Like that's what makes this.
I love that. Yeah, that's honestly one of the best things about it. And again, it allows for so many different team compositions and making different teams, and it's a lot of fun. All right, guys. So, well, that is going to be it for the video. Again, let us know all your thoughts down below in the comments as always. Make sure you head over to Nalar's channel as always, and make sure you hit that sub button to show the guy some support. He is, well, an uber whale, to say the least. So, but yeah, anytime, guys. Just, again, let us know your thoughts down below. So, anyway, guys, that's going to be it for the video, though. Again, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you happen to be new. Until next time, everyone, we'll see you all in the next one.